Welcome to an Insta Live here on the We Are Fit&Well channel. My name's Ruth. I'm a fitness and wellness ambassador for sweatband.com, and Sweatband and We Are Fit&Well have collaborated to bring you this series of mindful movement sessions, each half an hour long and 4 in total. This is the second of the 4th, and the focus on this one will be on how you build strength when you move mindfully. I'm going to be using yoga heavily in these sessions, but the same principles apply across all kinds of fitness, whatever your groove is, running, weight training, whatever. If you apply the same principles, I guarantee you can get better results and more enjoyment out of your workout and your exercise too. So today we're going to focus on strength, and as ever we're going to use those 4 elements, the body, the breath, the mind and the movement, to bring it all together to a more mindful approach to exercise. And the first position I'd like you to stand in is mountain pose. So familiar to most people, whether you do yoga or not, just standing nice and tall. Just for ease around the back region, we'll keep our heels a hip distance apart and we'll land our feet with the toes facing forward. And just stand a while in this position. It's a familiar position for most people at some point or another during their day. But when we work with a mindful approach to the position, it can take on a whole different form and feeling. So let's begin first with the breath. In yoga, we typically breathe in and out through the nose. So just bring your focus to your breath and maybe feel your breath a little bit by lightly landing your hands on your abdominals and allowing that breathe to flow through the body. And as it does, it grows the body a little bit, just getting a little bit of expansion around the abdominal region, a little bit of extension in the spinal region that corresponds with the abdominal region. And then just rest the hands by the side. How else can we make this more mindful? Well, mindfulness is all about awareness, is about intention and attention. So if we pay attention to the body, standing there, I'd like you to think about how much pressure you can apply foot to floor and how much lift you can manage up into the crown as you just adjust and align. And that should make you feel a little straighter and stronger. And some stretch in the fingers, so there's reach and range through every element of the body, up into the crown, down into the soles, wide between the fingers and long through the arms. And so even though you're standing still, you're generating warmth and building strength. From here, we're going to bend the knees ever so slightly, just into an adaptation of intense pose. The lower you bend the legs, the more you ask of them. So first time around, just make that flexion comfortable. So it's not quite as low as perhaps you might do a squat. So now we're tilting the torso forward and levering the arms backwards. Again, pay attention to how firmly you can place the feet, how long and strong you can make the arms, pushing the fingertips back, how long and strong you can make the spine, growing the crown forward on that incline. Additionally, introduce some tension in the abdominal region to keep the shape and the strength in the spine. Make sure the breath continues, make sure that pressure continues. So you're focusing your mind on your body, you're working your body harder, and you're keeping the breath going. As you inhale, lengthen and just stand nice and tall again. And those 2 simple movements or 2 simple mindful positions should have made you feel a little bit tingly, a little bit warmer and a little bit stronger generally. Let's advance our mountain for a second time. If you've got lower back issues, I'd prescribe keeping your feet a little further apart still. But if you're happy to bring the ankles together, then do. This time we're going to have our hands in a prayer. Again, we're going to push down into the feet and grow up into the crown and breathe through the belly. And just imagine the hands were still where they once were and be aware of the movement that they felt. But now the hands are together. Push every paired fingertip in, push the heels of the hands in and narrow the space between the elbows. And as you do that, you should feel strength through the spine and the muscles that support it. Take a couple of breaths here. Again, we're going to go down to our intense pose. So a little bit more knee flexion and a little bit more torso tilt this time. So you are making a zigzag with the body. And again, tone the tummy, plant the feet, push the hands in, push the elbows in, and think about more strength and stability in this posture. As you take her in, stand nice and tall and release the arms just briefly by the side and observe if that warmth is building, that strength is also building. And take a final mountain with your arms high. If you've got shoulder issues, maybe keep your hands in the prayer position. But if you've got that mobility through the shoulders and that strength through the arms, hover the fingertips above the shoulders. So now our high points are hands. So grow the arms long, draw the shoulders down, lift the crown high, plant and push the feet, tense and tone the tummy in the seat. And again, just think about the breath. Hopefully the breath is more apparent than before because you've spent some time focusing on it. And the strength you feel from your fingers to your feet is greater than before. Take a third and final intense pose from here, keeping your arms long, tucking your chin in and focusing your gaze now down and forwards. Pushing your toes into the floor, pushing your tail back, reaching your hands forward and drawing your navel towards your spine. So you feel strength in every element of the posture, from the top of the fingers to the heels of your feet. And then when you stand tall and rest the arms by the side and return to that first position with the feet slightly wider. And rest the hands on the belly as you did before. You should be feeling more powerful in the body, more focused in the mind, and more ready to warm and work the body further. The next posture we're going to do is a warrior. So we take the feet wide. We're going to go to the right first. So your right leg turns from the hip. So the kneecap and the toe tips look to the right. And your left leg also turns from the hip. So your heels look out to the left. What invariably happens is we have a bit of looseness around that hip structure. So try and keep it square to the front of the pose and keep a square relationship between your hips and your shoulders as your arms wingspan out and you bend that right leg. Now in lots of yoga classes, we can remain in this position for a long time. And the longer you remain here, the more strength you require. So we access that strength again, thinking about the body, reaching out with the fingers and up with the crown, pushing down into the feet and tensing through your left leg because otherwise the right leg will do all the work. About your breath as well. So we're breathing again into that abdominal region, encouraging that movement as we breathe, and that will stabilize us and give us that endurance we need to hold this position for a long time. Mind. So in warrior poses, the tradition is to have one foot in the future, one in the past, but the mind in the present. So we look over the right hand and we just have awareness of what is ahead of us, but we keep ourselves firmly fixed on the here and now. Hold this position for a little while longer. And every time you feel a little weakness, revisit that heaviness of the feet, that strength of your long leg, that length of your body, and that movement of your breath, and see if they combine to give you a little bit more staying power. Release slowly, lowering the hands, lengthening the right leg, and turning your feet so the toes face forward. Give yourself a little time to rest and recover by bowing from the hips, hanging the head, and bringing the fingertips to the floor if you can reach, or if you've got less flexibility, bending your knees ever so slightly and resting your fingertips against each other. Be soft now in the body. So just as we do in traditional strength training, we make demands and then we give ourselves a little break. Make the progression to standing slowly. Bend the knees if they're not bent already. Press against the thighs with the hands and come up nice and tall and take a few breaths. And take your warrior two now the other way. So left toes turn out, right heel turns back, shoulders and hips remain square and the wings go wide. Sink into that left leg. And apply the same principles. Root your feet firmly. Get a firm foundation between and beneath the feet. Tense now your right leg. So you've got strength in the thigh, stability hand side, and help you keep your hips and shoulders square. Breathe into the belly. Rise a little on an in-breath, sink a little on an out-breath, not only in the abdominal region, but through the whole of the body, in the present, in your mind. So gaze looks ahead, but the thoughts are here and now. Take a few breaths here. Release as before, bring the hands down, the toes forward, and taking a second bow, either with the elbows bent and resting on the bent legs, or with the legs long and the hands down on the ground. And second time around, where you've generated more warmth in the legs, you should enjoy more movement in the body. So hopefully the hands land a little happier, the body bows a little further. So enjoy that stretch and space that the strength has generated. Let's rise again nice and slowly and take one more warrior two in each direction. So going to the right first and feeling and comparing how this second warrior feels compared to the first. It should be the opposite effect that you get when you normally build strength or use strength in your training. You should be feeling you settle into the posture more happily and hold it with less stress and strain on the body. And again, return your attention to the connection, foot to floor, the extension through your left leg, the breath as you move and breathe, and the lightness and lift in the crown. And just have a soft focus in your eyes over to the right. Release as before slowly with the legs long, the hands down, the toes forward. Take a third bow, a better bow, a fuller bow than before. Again, taking any option you may require. Allow the head to be heavy. Allow the breath to be full. And observe the breath in the abdominals in this position. A little bit of compression. Nice bit of stimulation for your inner organs. Come up slowly as before, knees bent, elbows to thighs, push up and lift. And take your second warrior two now to the left, turning the feet, bending the left leg, lifting the crown, lowering the shoulders, looking left, thinking center, and breathe has improved in terms of position and experience. So if it doesn't make a greater demand on you, that's an indication that you've built a bit of strength through a bit of a mindful approach to where you are and how you're working. Let's release as before, take a bow as before, and come now, or become now, aware of the heaviness of the head. The head is a heavy part of the body, and we support it a lot in our seated and standing positions. But in yoga in particular, we spend a lot of time with the head below the heart, which is great for the circulation of blood. And it can be anti-aging too, so I'd always prescribe a little upside down time. And the next posture we're going to do is down dog. So take one foot to one side of your mat, it doesn't matter which way you go, and turn side on and arrive in a down dog. The hands land, the tail lifts, the chin tucks in, the head hangs heavy. Lengthen, strengthen your legs, lower your heels as close to the floor as you feel you can. And just see how much rest you're able to achieve in this posture. In down dog, you should be like a perfectly pitched roof. And if the incline is right, hip to heel and hip to hand, there should be no effort in the pose. However, this is rarely the case with most people because we have different tensions and tightnesses in our body. However, if we apply the principles of mindfulness in down dog, we can enjoy a better experience in the posture and more strength and endurance as before. So let's work from our hands to our heels to achieve that. Have a look at your hands, make sure there's space between all your fingers, and then push down into those hands and see if that shifts your tail up and your chest in just a fraction. Consider now how long you are through the eyes of the elbows and add a little stretch there and see if that's your hands. Think about your incline. Can you tip your tail higher up? And so lower your crown further down. Fix your gaze on your legs now. Tuck your chin towards your chest and tense tightly through your two thighs so you grow long through the back of the two knees. And then from there, gradually lower your heels, flexing the ankles as you do so. And see how long the body can be, how strong the body can feel, and how low the heels can go. Varies from people. Some people can comfortably get their heels to the floor. Other people will always have slightly elevated heels. But as long as you feel strength and length in the posture, then it's working for you.
Pay attention to your breath now. We're extended through the spine and the sides of the body, so there'll be plenty of space for the breath to come in and out. No restrictions there. From there, land your 2 knees on the floor and take a comfortable kneeling position and just rotate the wrists a few times. And just be aware of how that first down dog felt from beginning to end, and see if when we return to it in a little while, we're closer to the end experience as opposed to the one you had first off. From here, we're going to take a plank. Now, if you're someone who's got problems with your wrists, take your plank on your elbows. But traditionally in yoga, the plank is high, so the hands sit beneath the shoulders. If you're able to lift and lengthen your legs, then do. But again, if you've got issues in your back or weaknesses in your abdominals, do come onto your knees. Whatever option you take, make sure you've got strength and length, crown to tail, and from each shoulder to wherever on the mat you land. So that could be your knees, or it could be back to your ankles. Draw your navel in. Now, we tend to sink into the floor in a plank, and so the weight gravitates to the hands. But just as we use the feet in a mountain, we're going to grow out the hands. So push off the hands and lift, and see if that gives you a little bit more strength in the posture. And then hold on tight with your glutes and your thighs, and see if that stabilizes your pelvis, and so it gives you a little bit more endurance. Let's land our knees, land our toes, and again give the wrists a release and a rotation, and repeat the last 2 poses one more time and see if we feel a little stronger in them. So land your hands as before, tuck your toes once again, and arrive in your down dog. And just observe, as you did last time, where the weight is and where the work is, and whether you're getting closer to that release in the posture rather than the work in the posture. Let's move from the back to the front this time, lowering the heels with ankle flexion, tensing the thighs, tilting the torso, stretching the arms, planting the fingers, and seeing if you feel straighter and stronger than you did before. From here, we're going to transition straight, and again, remember the elbows or the knees can be on the floor if required, but whatever you do, squeeze the seat tight, draw the navel up, and tuck the chin in, eyes down. So drop your knees to the floor, go out with the knees together with the big toes, and then back with the seat. Let your head fall. If the shoulders are happy here, keep the hands forward. If it's preferable for you to land the hands by the side, palms up, just take that option and just fall like a rag doll into the posture. Soft and submissive. And just let gravity draw you down. And just be aware of where the heaviness sits. Generally, it'll be around the head region. And that's a good sign. It means the heaviest part of the body is connecting most heavily with the floor. Let's push up slowly, land the palms, lift the head, and come around now to your backs. We're going to do some bridges. Bridges are great posture for strengthening the back of the body, the hamstrings, the glutes and the lower back. And it's also a popular exercise with and without movement in conditioning and strength training. So it's a really good one to think about. To get nicely aligned, your heels should be a hip distance apart, and try and creep your heels a little bit closer to the seat than they naturally land. Just shorten the line between the heels and the shoulders to get a really good bridge. Land your hands by the side, and before you lift anything, just be aware of how much connection you have there, beneath your feet, beneath your fingers, and beneath your arms. Remember the muscles we are working and be mindful of those. So it's the hamstrings, the glutes and the back. So I'd like you to squeeze your glutes and lift your hips as high as you can. And just be aware of how much lift you get through your hips and how that creates stretch to the front of the body and strength to the back. Attempt to lift higher by making your feet and your shoulders heavier. So you've got those 4 landing points of the posture. And if you push into the floor, you can lift away from it all the more. And just be aware of how tight and toned you are now through the glutes, through the lower back, and through the hamstrings. But be aware additionally of how high you've come. And maybe measure that by bending your arms and just bringing your hands in around your hips and seeing where the heels of the hands find the body in relation to the hip bones. And just spend a moment being aware of that. We're going to release the back by sliding it down from the top to the bottom. And once it is landing, lifting the feet off the floor and holding the knees with the hands. And then gently draw circles with the knees a couple of times in each direction. Try and keep the knees connected as you do this. And you should find the lower back enjoys a little release and a little massage as it connects with the floor. Let's try a second mindful bridge. So once again, set the heels a hip distance apart. As before, walk the heels closer to the seat and then land the arms by the side. And just be aware again of what's connected, particularly around the arm region. You should hopefully have more connection between your shoulders and your fingers than perhaps you had before. Again, be mindful of the muscles we're moving. And as you inhale, elevate the hips as high as you can. And be as strong through the seat and through the back and through the hamstrings as you're able, and as stretched along and across the front of the body, the hips and the thighs. A little heavier. See if you lift a little higher, and when you bend your arms and bring them in, do they connect a little bit lower? For me, I can feel a difference. So my knuckles didn't quite curl over my hip bones last time, but they are this. And hopefully you're feeling a difference. So that's another in pushing down into the feet and the shoulders and trying to elevate your hips all the higher and strengthen the back of the body all the more. Let's release slowly as before, and then once again bring the hands to the knees and circle the knees around. We're going to do one final use of those 4 elements of mindful movement to bring us into our relaxation. Ordinarily and typically in a yoga class, you will simply find yourself in Shavasana, in corpse pose, and take a nice break. But when our focus is on strength, we're going to use it to get more release and relaxation through the body. So just lie comfortably with your heels outside your hips, your hands outside your shoulders, and your head on top of a long neck, so there's no compression anywhere at all. One limb at a time, we're going to add weight and work, and then release and relaxation. So let's begin with the right leg. Flex the ankle of the right foot so it's strong, and then push the right heel down and keep pushing and applying pressure with as much force as you can generate, and just be aware of how much tension and tone that brings around the leg region. So when you do let the air go and relax the body, that leg should land softer, longer and lower than its counterpart on the left. And then repeat the same process with the left. So flexion in the ankle and then pressure heel to floor, and just keep pressing as if you're trying to make a dent in the floor. Leave an imprint behind you with as much strength as you can manage. And then again, release, relax, and feel that extra give in your leg. Apply the same principles with the hands now. First, the back of the right hand becomes heavy and you push it into the floor. You feel the muscles engage as you apply that pressure, and you keep that pressure for a couple more breaths. But when you're ready, you exhale, release, relax that arm. You should find it automatically follows a path further away from the body. And do likewise with the left arm. Press, press, press. And then release, relax. So now you should be feeling more spacious and more settled, and so you should enjoy a better relaxation. So take a moment, closing the eyes and focusing again on the breath. And using this meditation, this relaxation period, to just check in with those 4 elements. So when the eyes are closed, the mind internalizes, the focus internalizes. So really allow yourself to concentrate on your own body and notice where it begins and where it ends in relation to the floor beneath, the clothes above, and the breeze if you can feel it. As you get more relaxed, the breath should naturally soften and deepen and slow. So observe and enjoy that process. And as it does, it will slow down the whole system in the body. Most noticeably the beat of the heart. That should relax and recover with the breath. Obviously movement isn't what we're thinking about now. But as you relax, the body will subtly move as it opens and lengthens and lowers. So just be aware of that additional space. And just breathe easy and relax fully. We're going to come out of this relaxation ever so slowly. So progress by bending one leg at a time, lifting one foot at a time and holding your knees as you did before. Try and keep your eyes closed as you do this and circle the knees once again, a few times in each direction. We're going to come through to a seated position, so if you need to roll to your side and push yourself up, you can. If you can hold the back of the thighs and get some momentum by rocking the knees to the chest and then rocking yourself up, then please do. Come to a comfortable seated position with the sit bones settled and the torso tall and the hands landed on the knees, and just take a few breaths. And as you do, see if you can make the feet of this position, the sit bones, a little bit more loaded, and so enjoy a bit more lift through the chest, space for the breath and release for the body. I hope you enjoyed that session. If you want to repeat it, it will be uploaded to YouTube and to the IGTV channel with We Are Fit and Well. And if you're available on Thursday at 6, I will be back with more mindful movement, looking a little bit more at mobility. So just same principles but different results. And I hope to see you then. Thank you very much.